There's a quiet kind of power that doesn't shout, it whispers. The kind that walks into a room and shifts the air, not by force but by presence. It's not charisma in the theatrical sense, nor charm that seeks validation. It's something deeper, something that Machiavelli himself understood centuries ago. An invisible armor of awareness, calculation, and restraint. This aura isn't about domination, it's about control. First of yourself, then of the world around you. The people who possess it don't need to raise their voices or demand respect. They emanate it. You feel it before you understand it. Their silence speaks. Their movements are intentional, and their energy commands subtle obedience. But here's what most people misunderstand. This kind of aura isn't inherited, it's constructed. Layer by layer, choice by choice, moment by moment. It's a product of self-discipline, emotional intelligence, and strategic detachment. It's the embodiment of psychological balance, calm on the surface, but sharp and perceptive beneath. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to glorify manipulation. He wrote it to expose how influence truly works, how human nature bends when faced with certainty, mystery, and confidence. And when you begin to internalize his principles, your aura evolves into something magnetic, a gravitational field of self-assuredness that quietly shapes the behavior of others. In this video, we'll explore how to build this aura, not through deceit, but through mastery, through self-governance, minimal words, and a mind that observes before it reacts. Because the most powerful people in any room are not the loudest. They're the ones who seem to need nothing, yet everything seems to flow toward them. Number one, cultivate emotional impenetrability. Your aura begins with control over your emotions. Machiavelli understood this truth centuries ago when he observed that a leader who reacts impulsively is already defeated. In The Prince, he emphasized that true influence comes not from constant display of emotion, but from calculated composure. Emotional control isn't suppression, it's strategy. It's the art of knowing when to reveal your feelings and when to hold them back. Emotional neutrality doesn't mean apathy. It means precision. You still feel deeply, but instead of being ruled by emotion, you use it as a tool. When anger arises, you study it before responding. When excitement surfaces, you channel it toward purpose. This kind of mastery doesn't dull your humanity. It refines it. In psychology, this aligns with the concept of emotional intelligence, particularly self-regulation, one of the 5 core elements identified by Daniel Goleman. Studies show that individuals who can manage their emotions under pressure tend to exhibit higher leadership effectiveness, stronger decision-making, and even greater personal charisma. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology. Thinkers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius believed that emotions were natural impulses, but reacting blindly to them made one a slave to circumstance. The Stoic ideal, like Machiavelli's, was to govern the self first, because only a ruler who governs himself can influence others effectively. This discipline creates an aura, an invisible field of psychological tension that others can sense. When people can't predict your emotional reactions, they become more cautious, respectful, and even intrigued. You appear unshakable, and that unpredictability shifts the power dynamic in your favor. In social psychology, this is called controlled ambiguity. When others can't easily read you, their minds work overtime trying to decode your intentions. The result is influence, quiet, subtle, and potent. But achieving this requires daily practice. Emotional control isn't born overnight, it's cultivated through awareness and restraint. The next time someone tries to provoke you, imagine your emotions as waves, strong but temporary. The storm passes when you don't feed it. This calmness doesn't just protect your energy, it builds authority. In every conversation, meeting or confrontation, your emotional neutrality signals that you operate from a higher plane, one where impulse gives way to intention. And in that stillness, your aura grows, measured, magnetic, and quietly powerful. Number 2, master the art of silence. Silence is one of the most underestimated tools of power in human interaction. In a world where everyone feels the need to speak, to justify, and to fill every gap with words, silence becomes a rare and commanding presence. When you pause while others rush to respond, you unconsciously create tension, an invisible force that draws attention toward you. People begin to interpret your silence, projecting their insecurities, doubts, and expectations onto it. This psychological effect is well documented in behavioral studies. Humans are uncomfortable with uncertainty, and silence creates precisely that. The longer you hold it, the more others scramble to fill it, revealing information they never intended to share. Machiavelli understood this phenomenon centuries ago. In The Prince, he emphasized that wise rulers speak less than they know and reveal only what serves their strategy. To him, silence wasn't passivity, it was control. By withholding reaction, one shapes the reactions of others. Modern psychology confirms this ancient wisdom. The concept of verbal dominance in communication research shows that people who use deliberate pauses and fewer words are often perceived as more intelligent, confident, and trustworthy. Silence also triggers the status signal effect, the subconscious belief that those who can remain calm and quiet in social tension hold higher social power. Think of powerful figures in history or business. They speak rarely, but when they do, their words land like stone. The silence before speaking creates anticipation, amplifying the weight of every syllable. In negotiation, silence can unnerve opponents, prompting them to over-explain or concede. In relationships, it can command respect and create boundaries. And in personal development, silence sharpens perception. You start hearing what others miss, tone, hesitation, and intent. True Machiavellian silence is therefore not about muteness. It's an active form of observation and influence. You become the mirror in which others expose themselves. It teaches patience, emotional control, and timing, the core principles of strategic power. When mastered, silence is not emptiness, it's precision. It becomes a language of authority, one that speaks louder than words ever could. In essence, those who can remain silent while others rush to speak aren't weak. They're the ones orchestrating the conversation without uttering a single word. That's the paradox of power. Sometimes saying nothing changes everything. Number 3, project selective confidence. Machiavelli observed that true power often has less to do with brute strength and more to do with the perception of control. In his timeless writings, particularly The Prince, he emphasized that authority is rarely about what is real. It's about what people believe to be real. When someone projects confidence, composure, and unshakable certainty, others instinctively defer to that presence. This is rooted in a deep psychological truth. Human beings are wired to seek stability. In uncertain situations, people gravitate toward whoever appears most self-assured, not necessarily the one who is objectively right. Your tone of voice, your timing, and your posture, all of these form subtle signals that tell others whether you are a leader or a follower. and whether you have control or are seeking it. Even animals follow this logic. In a pack, the alpha isn't always the strongest, but the one whose energy communicates dominance and calm authority. Machiavelli understood this centuries before modern psychology confirmed it. Studies in behavioral science show that confident body language, steady eye contact, slow movements and controlled speech can influence others' perception of competence and trustworthiness. The halo effect, a cognitive bias where people assume positive traits based on one observed quality, supports Machiavelli's insight perfectly. If you appear calm under pressure, people assume you must also be capable, intelligent, and in control, even if internally you're uncertain. This illusion of mastery can create real-world influence, shaping how people respond to, obey, or admire you. It's not deceit, it's strategy. You don't need to be invincible to inspire confidence. You need only to project the composure of someone who already possesses the answers. Machiavelli's perception of power was not about manipulation in a sinister sense. It was about understanding the theater of human interaction. Life, he suggested, is a stage where the composed man commands the spotlight, while the reactive one fades into the background. This applies in boardrooms, politics, relationships, and even casual encounters. The person who maintains their calm when others panic becomes the anchor in the storm. Their composure is magnetic because it represents safety and leadership. In that stillness lies silent power. People follow not out of coercion, but because their instincts tell them to align with the person who seems to have already won. In essence, Machiavelli's wisdom teaches that mastery over perception is mastery over reality itself. The calm exterior becomes not just a shield, but the throne from which influence quietly rules. Number 4, detach from validation. The more you crave approval, the weaker your aura becomes. That might sound poetic, but it's also rooted in psychology and human behavior. The human brain is wired for social belonging. Studies in neuroscience show that social rejection activates the same regions as physical pain, particularly the anterior cingulate cortex. This explains why people instinctively seek approval. It feels safe, validating, and rewarding. But here's the paradox. The more you depend on others to feel valuable, the more power you hand them over your sense of self. You begin to shape your words, actions, and even your posture around how others might perceive you. Slowly, your aura, that invisible field of energy people sense before you even speak, loses its density. You become reactive, not magnetic. Detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. When you no longer chase validation, your energy hardens into something rare. Self-sufficiency. You stop negotiating your worth in the marketplace of opinions. People begin to feel your quiet confidence. Psychologists call this non-reactivity, a state often linked to emotional intelligence and self-assurance. In social dynamics, those who appear unshaken by rejection project psychological stability, something our evolutionary instincts find irresistibly attractive. It signals strength, predictability, and leadership. This is why powerful individuals, from philosophers to entrepreneurs, radiate calm under scrutiny. They understand that approval is a currency, and they choose not to spend it recklessly. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." In modern language, that means it's better to be respected than understood. Respect carries weight because it's earned through consistency and boundaries. not through people-pleasing. When others respect you, they adjust their behavior around you. When they merely like you, you adjust yours around them. The difference defines power. True magnetism doesn't come from trying to be relatable. It comes from being undeniable. Those who maintain their composure in rejection and stay loyal to their values become forces of nature, solid, unmoved, and mysteriously compelling. People sense authenticity like animals sense confidence. It's primal and immediate. So if you wish to strengthen your aura, stop auditioning for approval. Instead, cultivate presence, discipline, and inner independence. Because the moment you no longer need anyone to validate your existence, your energy shifts. And that's when the world, almost unconsciously, begins to seek your validation instead. Number 5, study human nature relentlessly. Every powerful aura is born from the quiet art of observation. The ability to see beyond words, gestures, and appearances into the hidden architecture of human behavior. The masters of influence throughout history, from philosophers to strategists, have all shared this one trait. They observed. They watched how people moved, how their tone changed when they lied, what they chased when they wanted to impress, and what they avoided when they feared exposure. Niccolo Machiavelli, the Renaissance political thinker often misunderstood as merely manipulative, was in truth a profound student of human psychology. His power didn't come from cruelty, it came from clarity. The kind that arises when you understand men better than they understand themselves. Observation was his weapon, not force. Through careful attention, he could foresee desires before they were spoken, fears before they surfaced, and betrayals before they unfolded. In psychology, this principle is echoed in the study of micro-expressions and behavioral cues. Every human interaction reveals fragments of truth, fleeting eye movements, subtle changes in breathing, and hesitation in speech. When observed with awareness, these details expose motivation and intent. This skill, the ability to read people, is not magic. It's a refined form of empathy, sharpened by logic. It's what allows a person to sense tension before an argument begins, to recognize when admiration disguises envy, or to know when someone's silence speaks louder than their words. Neuroscience supports this idea. The human brain is wired to detect patterns in behavior, and those who train their perception strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for decision-making and emotional intelligence. When Machiavelli wrote The Prince, he emphasized prediction, the ability to anticipate the next move of allies and enemies alike. Prediction is the essence of control. If you can foresee a person's likely action, you're no longer reacting to life, you're shaping it. Observation grants foresight, and foresight grants power. Not the tyrannical kind, but the kind that allows calm mastery over situations. A powerful aura, then, isn't about domination. It's about silent awareness. When you observe deeply, you move through the world with precision, speak only when necessary, and act from understanding, not impulse. In that stillness lies influence, not because you force people to bend, but because they sense that you already know what they're about to do. Number 6, radiate calm power. When chaos arises, the world trembles in confusion. But those who remain still, who neither rush nor react, become anchors in the storm. True strength lies not in how loudly you respond, but in how calmly you observe. When provoked, the average person lets emotion seize control. Their pulse quickens, their mind clouds, and they lose the ability to see clearly. But the wise take a breath. They pause. They understand that calmness is not weakness, it is strategy. Psychologists have long observed that people instinctively seek stability. In times of uncertainty, the human brain looks for someone steady to follow, someone whose composure implies safety. This is rooted in evolutionary biology. Our ancestors survived by gravitating toward leaders who stayed clear-headed during crises. When you cultivate stillness, you activate this same response in others. They begin to see you as someone trustworthy, capable, and in control. This calmness also disorients aggressors. A person expecting you to explode with anger or defend yourself emotionally becomes lost when you don't. Their tactics lose power. This phenomenon is called psychological mirroring disruption, a principle studied in behavioral psychology. When someone's emotional energy is not matched, it throws off their rhythm, forcing them to self-reflect instead of attack. The one who remains calm, therefore, becomes the dominant force without ever raising their voice. Great leaders throughout history, Marcus Aurelius, Nelson Mandela, and even modern CEOs, understood this secret. They mastered emotional regulation, not just for peace of mind, but as a form of influence. Calmness radiates authority. It creates gravity. People are drawn to this kind of energy. When they sense unwavering steadiness in you, they subconsciously align with it, much like planets orbiting a stable sun. In social settings, workplaces, or relationships, this translates into respect and quiet admiration. You become the person others look to when things fall apart, the one whose silence speaks volumes. Developing this power requires self-awareness, discipline, and the humility to respond, not react. Meditation, deep breathing, and reflection on your values can strengthen this internal stillness. In a world that thrives on speed, outrage, and noise, calmness becomes rebellion, an unshakable declaration of control. When chaos arises, be still. When provoked, remain thoughtful. Because the calm soul doesn't just survive the storm, it becomes the eye of it. And in that eye, all who approach find peace, power, and direction. Building an aura that bends people to your will is not about manipulation. It's about alignment. You become the still point in a spinning world. People sense that steadiness, and they follow, not out of fear, but out of fascination. Practically, that steady presence grows from emotional regulation, consistent behavior, and clear communication. Neuroscience shows humans mirror calmness through mirror neurons. So composed body language and a measured vocal tone lower others' stress and increase trust. Small rituals, arriving on time, keeping promises, listening more than speaking, compound into reputation, and reputation guides social influence. Training attention through mindfulness and breathwork sharpens focus and reduces reactive impulses, while learning to ask precise questions steers conversations toward your ideas without force. In short, influence becomes a byproduct of centeredness, reliability, and curiosity, qualities that make others choose to follow you because they want to, not because they must.